Well, hello there. Welcome to our Friday demo. I'm so happy you could join us, and I hope you had a great week, fun week, fulfilling week. We're going to do a paint pouring demo to end the week, and hopefully it's a good one. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be interesting, hopefully very cool. Welcome, Chris and Lily and Pat. Great to see you. And we're going to be doing a cloud pour today. I'm going to be doing the easy formula. My easy cloud formula is what I've mixed up. I've got some interesting colors, and we're going to put them all together and see what we get. So I'll kind of give you a little breakdown of what is in my cloud formula, or my easy cloud formula, and I'll show you all the colors I'm using. I've done quite a bit of custom mixing today with colors, so we'll talk about all of that, and we'll layer them in the cup and see what we get. So before we look at all of the colors, I'll just tell you briefly what my easy cloud formula is. It's very simple. I have about 3 different cloud formulas that I use most often. This is the easiest one, and I really like the results. By the way, the painting right behind me, this one is an easy cloud painting. So that's somewhat similar to the results you can get with the easy cloud formula. It's a little bit different than kind of a standard cloud pour. I really like it, and it's due to the 2 different white paints I use in this particular formula. You get lots and lots of cells. They're very interesting looking cells. They're a little less of the very blended cloud cells that you get, but I really like the effect. So the formula is simple. It's 2 parts Floetrol, just US Floetrol, 1 part of the Behr satin enamels. This is the Behr interior satin enamels. What's it called again? Ultra Pure White. 1 part of that, 1 part of Craft Smart White, and you get this at Michael's. Craft Smart is the Michael's brand, and that's it. And you don't really need to add water. You mix those 3 ingredients. It's pretty much the perfect formula, or perfect consistency, I should say. Just with those 3 ingredients. You could add a tiny bit of water if you want to get a little bit thinner consistency, but just those 3 by themselves, the consistency is almost perfect. And then you can gauge all your other paints by the consistency of your cloud mix. And so that's it. That's the cloud formula. I've got it right here. It's just white. So I'm just using a white cloud mix. You could create other colors of cloud pours if you wanted to. You could switch out the ultra white paint, which is the one that kind of creates most of the cloudy effects, with the deep base if you wanted to. You could probably use a different color other than the white. I'd probably recommend the Craft Smart, but these 2 paints in particular work the best for me for this particular cloud pour. You could also tint the white a little bit. If you wanted to have like a slightly off-white color, you could do that as well. I'm just going with the pure white, and we'll see what happens. So that's what we're going to do. I've got a 16 by 20 panel that I'm going to be pouring on. This is one of my handmade panels, so we'll see what happens there. And we'll jump over quick and take a look at the rest of the colors. Then we'll get going. So welcome everyone who's joining us here. Anne has joined us. Fantastic. Hey, Beth and Monique. Great to see you. And Judy and Cynthia, welcome. Carla, fantastic. Great to see you all. Hey, Nancy is here as well. So awesome. Looks like a fun group. So let's jump over to my other camera, and we'll take a look at the other colors we've got going on here. So I'm going to switch over. So here is the 16 by 20 panel, and I've got a bunch of these colors on top here. So this is the cloud mix right here. Over here, this is kind of a very light off-white. It's a champagne kind of color. It's all metallic, and I create this color by adding quite a bit of the Artist Loft metallic white and just a little bit of gold and a little bit of silver. The brands aren't necessarily that important, although I do love using the Artist Loft metallic white. And then you get this very pretty, it's kind of like a pearlescent color, kind of like a very, slight off-white, pearly, kind of champagne-y color. That is going to be it's going to go next to our cloud pour or cloud mixture. And I'm going to be using this as a barrier color also, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Here I have got a kind of an orangey gold color. This is made with Artist Loft metallic orange and gold. And this is a great color, this metallic orange, but it's a little too vibrant just by itself. So I like to kind of cut that with some gold, and it turns it into this very beautiful kind of yellow-orange color. So we'll be using some of that, which will create some interesting, hopefully beautiful orangey, cloudy effects. Down here, I've got a custom mixture of a very light kind of blue. It's kind of a green blue, and that's made with this ocean green from Master's Touch, a little bit of blue-gray, just because I wanted a little more subtle color, a little bit more on the blue side, and then a little bit of white in here, just to make it a little slightly lighter value. And so we have this kind of beautiful blue, light blue. And then finally, we have a dark value here. This is just dioxazine purple, and I actually put a little bit of black in here too, just to darken it just a little bit. And so those are the colors. And so we've got some light colors, we've got some kind of middle value colors, a dark color, and then we've also got warm colors and cool colors next to each other. So we have kind of like a nice mixture of colors. My members might recognize this as one of the triads we've been using in the membership. This is a triadic color scheme. So if you have a color wheel, you can check that out. So anyway, let us go ahead, and I'm going to move some of this off of the table, and we'll start layering our cup. And by the way, all these other paints are just 2 parts Floetrol, 1 part paint. Well, there's might be 2 or 3 different colors in there, but 1 part paint total, and then a little bit of water just to get to the same consistency as my cloud mixture. So very easy mixture for all the rest of the colors. And let's see here. All right, so I'm going to move this aside just for a moment, and we'll layer our cup. And let's see. Okay, so we've got our cup. This is the cup I'm going to layer, just a regular old cup. For 16 by 20, I like to use 10 ounces of paint. So I've marked a 10-ounce line right there. That's how much paint we're going to use. Then we're going to just pour it slowly on our base coat and tilt it around and see what we get. And I see a question from Monique, and she's asking, is the Craft Smart paint thinner than Amsterdam White? And yes, this stuff is quite a bit thinner than the tube paints, such as Liquitex or the Artist Loft or Amsterdam. So it's more of a craft paint, but it still works very well. So if you're using something like a tube paint or Artist Loft, or excuse me, Amsterdam, you probably have to add a little bit of water to get to the proper consistency. But yeah, this is quite a bit thinner than Amsterdam tube paints are. So good question. And let's go ahead and layer our cup. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start with my champagne color. And I want this to be the first color in, and I want this to be kind of the last color out. A lot of the times I'll put the cloud mixture in first. I don't want that to be the last color out of the cup though. So I want to add a little bit of a different color other than just pure white. So I'm going to add just a small amount of this champagne color, and just like that, not a lot of it. And then I'm going to put in the first of my 2 layers of cloud mix. So I'm going to just add some of that. I don't want to use tons of the cloud mix because it can take over your whole painting. Then I'm going to go back to my champagne color, add a little bit more of that. And then I'm going to go with my, oops, I think I screwed that up. Well, it doesn't matter. I was going to put my orange in next, but I'll put my orange in right now. And now I want to add, I was going to put the orange in, then some of my champagne. I'll just put a little bit of that in right next. This is a barrier color. I'm using it as a barrier color to separate the orange from the blue. You might notice or know that orange and blue are complementary colors. They can get kind of muddy if they mix together too much. So I just put a little bit of this kind of more neutral color in between the two to help prevent a lot of mixing. Then I'm going to put in a little bit of my blue, and then I'll put in some of our purple here. And that's our first layer. And now I'm going to go back to my cloud mixture, and I'm going to go right on top of our purple with the second layer of our cloud mix. You might see that kind of wanting to fall down the side of the cup. That's natural. And then we're going to add some of our orange next up. And then again, I'm going to use the champagne as a barrier color. A little bit of that. And then go back to the blue. And maybe one more layer of purple. And that's it. That's our 10 ounces of paint. We've got our cup all layered up and we're ready to pour. So I'm going to slide these paints over here and put my big cup of paint over there. And then I have some more paint mixed up. This is my base coat. I just mixed something similar to my blue. And this is just 2 parts Floetrol, 1 part paint. And then I just put, it's mostly white, and I just put a little bit of the blue and a little bit of that, or a little bit of that ocean green and a little bit of the blue-gray in there, just to tint it a little bit so it's not like a stark white. And we're going to put that on our panel. So I'm just going to pour this on. It's the same consistency as all the other colors. And we're just going to spread that out with my palette knife. I just need a thin layer. And I don't need to worry about the sides. Those will get handled when we do our tilting. So here we go, almost there. Just even that out. And I'll do a little torching maybe on this. The base coat just helps the paint slide around the canvas or your panel a whole lot easier. So I usually use it on most of my paintings. So also I like to use a color a lot of the times for my base coat. And just in case you get into a situation where you might want to have some negative space, well, this color will work very well with all the other colors. So, you know, we can, if you wanted to leave it as negative space. I'm not intending to leave negative space in this painting, but you never know. So this can kind of help. And also, sometimes you get little air bubbles that pop in your base coat and can show up in your final painting. So if you use a white base coat, you're going to get these little white kind of dots. But in this case, there'll be these little blue dots, which will kind of be easier to hide. They'll be a little more camouflaged in the final painting, if that happens. They'll blend in a whole lot easier. So there we go. We've got our base coat torched, and we're ready to pour our cup on. So let me turn my third camera on here. And it's all blurry. It needs to focus, but this will give you a little closer view of the cup as I pour it. There's the edge of the panel. Sorry about the blurriness. So here's my cup of paint. Here is the side I layered all the paints on right there. You can see they kind of ran down the side. I'm going to be pouring out of this side, the side I layered, and we'll see what happens. You could also pour out of the opposite side that you layered. Either one works really well. You get slightly different, get a slightly different look, but both of them are produce very nice paintings. So this time I'm just pouring out of the side I layered, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to be pouring. I got a hair in my painting. Taking the tweezers, I'll pull that out. Come out here. That's a very depressing sign, but anyway. So here we go. I'm going to be pouring kind of right in the center. Very kind of slow stream of paint, and we'll see what we get. So here we go. So take it nice and slow. This is just a straight pour. You could also do a ring pour if you wanted. So here comes some of the cloudy effects. You can kind of turn your cup a bit if you want. Takes a little patience to pour out 9 ounces of paint. And here's the second layer of the cloud mix coming out now. Okay, so I'm going to end it right there. So we have kind of that pearlescent, pearly champagne color was the last color out. So we have our cloudy effects kind of floating around throughout our puddle here. So I'm going to switch the camera. We'll just take a look at this and let it sit there for a minute. And can kind of let things progress a little. You can let it sit for a moment, a minute, or a couple minutes, and some cloudy things will start popping up, you might notice in your painting. We won't wait too long. And then we'll start tilting our paint puddle around. So far it looks pretty good. We got some interesting colors happening. I like what it looks like so far. So, all right. So that's pretty much long enough. We can start to do our tilting. So I'm going to just expand my paint puddle first. And go nice and slow. Just expand it around your surface. I'm going to just set it down and turn it around. There we go. So we've expanded it. It's covering the majority of our surface. And now we can decide which corners we want to attack first and tilt off first. We're getting some cloudy effects right in here, which look pretty good. Our center looks very interesting. We got some more cloudy stuff kind of happening in here. So I'm going to tilt off of this corner first, I think. And I'll go from there. Just kind of nice and slow. It's kind of, I'm going to go into that orange, I think. Then tilt back. And we'll go over to this corner next. Okay. So I got those two handled. I'll make my way over to this one. So I'm just going to let the paint kind of slide on down there. Looks pretty good. And just tilt that back, move the paint kind of towards the center again. And one corner left. So before I do that, I'll just point this out. I'm going to tilt off of that corner. But if you had a painting and you really liked the negative space that was showing up, I'm not a huge fan of this, but you can see how that colored base coat that matches the rest of your painting would be advantageous. So if you're just using a white or just kind of a boring color like that, or a color that doesn't really fit the rest of your color scheme, that would be harder to do. So it just gives you another opportunity if, you know, the situation arose where you'd want to keep some negative space. In this one, I'm not going to keep any. I'm just going to tilt this off. Up maybe a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so we've covered the whole canvas. It's looking pretty good. I'm just gonna set it down a moment, take a little look at it and see if there's anything I want to adjust or change. And so I'll point this out. I like what's happening. We're getting some cool cells popping up. Those will continue to develop usually over the course of the next 15 minutes. Those might grow in size. And but we're also going to be adjusting a little bit here, and that helps stretch the paint out a little more. The more you stretch the paint on your canvas, the more you're allowing your cloudy cells to develop. So I really love the overall look of the painting. I love that this side is mostly our blues and purples. This side is nice and kind of calm with most of that champagne color and our orange. I don't love this corner, so I'm going to tilt this off, and that'll help kind of stretch things out a little bit more. I'm going to just turn it and get a different angle. And I got to move the paint all the way back, so I'm going to just lift it and kind of slightly tilt kind of back and forth so I don't end up with a big run as the paint kind of moves back down here. So just kind of rocking it back and forth. And here we go. Paint's starting to move back down. So we tilted that corner off. Just go a little bit more. And now we'll bring that kind of paint back into towards the center of our painting. Yeah, I like that better. So I'm going to just kind of move the paint back down towards the other side. I really like that effect of having that nice, calm, kind of more neutralized side. There we go. So let's take a look at that. And I like that quite a bit. So let's see if there's anything else. So we fixed that corner. I like it a lot more now than what we had before. And these corners we could adjust if we wanted to. I kind of like this corner. This one we could alter a little bit, but I kind of like that dark. So they're somewhat similar, these two corners. But I think it's okay because I like having these dark areas of the painting. And the cells are relatively small in this one, but they still might grow a little bit more over the course of the next 15 minutes or so. But all in all, I'm pretty pleased with it. That orange, it became much more subtle in the painting. That was a pretty bright orange. And we have these beautiful little hints of it throughout, which I like. And once this dries, those will be metallic, and they'll be kind of sparkly when you look at them. But I really love and our blue kind of went away, but we have this subtle blending of that light blue and our champagne color, which I really, really like. And it turned into kind of a very subtle green. It was kind of a blue-green anyway, but we have hints of it down here. The purple wanted to, you know, take over this one a little bit. But I'm pretty happy with the overall look. So I think I'm going to call that good for this painting. And let's see here. And Monique wants a zoom. We can zoom in and take a look at a little closer look and see what we can see. So here is that top corner. I'll just kind of go across, and you can see the opposite corner. It might be difficult to see some of the subtle blending through the camera, but you can see some of these cells, the cloudy cells in there. I quite like that. And then here's that bottom corner we adjusted. And we'll go back over, and there's that other corner, and then kind of the center of interest right here where the purple areas meet the more neutralized areas. So all in all, I think it turned out pretty nicely. All right, so let me go back here and see if you have any questions about anything. So let's see, any questions you might have about the formulas or the colors or anything, let me know. And thanks, Carla. Carla likes that bottom left corner. Yeah, it was a brief corner. So Carla knows what I mean, but it's inside joke. But yeah, we fixed that one up nicely, which I'm happy about. And let's see. Let's see here. I thought I saw a question come in earlier from Nancy. Here it is. And Nancy is asking, what would happen if I did several smaller pours on the one canvas? Well, you could definitely do that. That's known as a multi straight pour or a multi-cloud pour. And basically what would happen is you would end up with multiple paint puddles, and depending on how you pour them, you could pour them completely separated and tilt them all around. Then you're going to end up with kind of barrier lines between all of the paint puddles, or you could pour them with overlapping paint puddles. So one puddle overlaps the other puddle. That can create a much more kind of interesting, more cohesive look. But yeah, you'll end up with, and of course it also depends on how you layer your cups, what colors I would recommend probably using all the same colors in all your cups, but you can layer them differently. So you could have in a couple of cups having the lighter colors, some having the darker colors. There's endless amount of ways to do it, but it gives you a much different look, finished look with the multi-pour painting. But they can be very, very fun and very, very cool. So give them a try if you want, and I think you'll be happy with the results. It takes a little bit of experimenting to see what you like, and kind of playing around with layering your cups and pouring them together. Just remember to use a total of about 9 ounces of paint if it was a 16 by 20. Don't use like 3 9-ounce cups of paint. That's way, way too much. So you want to divide your total amount of paint you need between however many cups you want to pour on your canvas. So good question. Hope that helps. And let's see here. Okay, you're welcome, Nancy. Sure thing. Yeah, let's see. I don't see any other questions. Let's see. No, I don't see anything else coming in. So, well, this was a pretty quick one, actually. They go relatively quick when everything kind of works out. But I'm pretty happy with it. So we'll see if it continues to develop any more cells. I'm not seeing any big changes at the moment, but you never know. They can kind of pop up gradually as you go along. So, but I think turned out pretty well. Give it a try. This is the Easy Cloud mix again, and very simple recipe. You get some very cool paintings with it. So, okay. All right. You're welcome, Judy. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in and checking out our cloud pour for our demo Friday, and give it a try. This is a fun one. I wish I had a little bit more of the orange in there, but we'll wait and see what happens when it dries. So take care, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.